2004, Beverly Hills. James Coburn's widow, Paula, was sorting through her late husband's belongings when she found a wooden box hidden in his study. Inside, 200 handwritten letters, all from Bruce Lee, written between 1970 and 1973. She read them all. Philosophy, dreams, doubts, fears. But letter 200, dated July 18, 1973, just 2 days before Bruce died, made her collapse in tears. Bruce knew. Somehow, in that final letter, Bruce knew his time was ending. This is the story of a friendship nobody knew existed, told through words that were never meant to be read by anyone except one man. But to understand letter 200, we need to start with letter 1, January 15, 1970. Los Angeles. James Coburn was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. The Magnificent Seven, The Great Escape, Our Man Flint. He was tall, charismatic, with a distinctive voice that made him unforgettable. But James Coburn had a secret. He was suffering from severe rheumatoid arthritis. The pain was unbearable. His hands were stiffening. His career was at risk. His doctor recommended martial arts training as physical therapy. There's a Chinese martial artist in Chinatown, Bruce Lee. Go see him. Coburn drove to Bruce's school skeptically. He was 41 years old, a famous actor. He didn't think some martial arts teacher could help him. When he walked in, Bruce was teaching a class. He looked at Coburn's hands immediately. "You're in pain," Bruce said. "Not a question, a statement. How did you? I can see it in the way you hold your body, the way you protect your hands. Come back tomorrow, just you and me." The next day, Coburn arrived for a private lesson. Bruce didn't teach him fighting. He taught him about flow, about relaxation, about how tension creates pain and fluidity creates healing. Your arthritis isn't just physical, James. You're holding on to tension everywhere, in your muscles, in your mind, in your life. You need to learn to let go. I've seen doctors, they all say there's no cure, because they treat the body. I'm teaching you to heal the mind. The body follows. For 2 hours, Bruce guided Coburn through gentle movements, breathing exercises, meditation. By the end, Coburn's hands felt better than they had in months. "Bruce, I don't know what that was, but I need more of it. Then come back." "But James, I want to ask you something. Between sessions, write to me. Not emails, not phone calls, handwritten letters. Tell me what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're struggling with." "Why handwritten?" "Because when you write by hand, you slow down, you think, you connect to what you're really feeling. And I'll write back. We'll have a conversation, but deeper than talking. Deal?" Coburn agreed. That night, he wrote his first letter to Bruce. "Dear Bruce, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm a 41-year-old man writing letters like a schoolboy, but there's something about you that makes me want to be honest. I'm scared, Bruce. Scared the arthritis will end my career. Scared I'll become irrelevant. Scared I'm not as strong as everyone thinks I am. James." 3 days later, Bruce's response arrived. "Dear James, fear is not your enemy. You fear losing your career because being an actor matters. You fear appearing weak because strength matters. But here's what I've learned. Real strength is admitting you're afraid. Real power is being vulnerable. Your arthritis is teaching you something. Listen to it. Bruce." That was letter 1 and response 1. Over the next 3 years, there would be 19 more. What happened next would create one of the most intimate friendships in Hollywood history. From January 1970 to December 1972, Bruce Lee and James Coburn wrote to each other constantly. Sometimes once a week, sometimes 3 times a week. Bruce wrote about his struggles breaking into Hollywood, about racism in the industry, about being offered degrading roles that portrayed Asians as servants or villains. "Dear James, they want me to play another houseboy, another kung fu villain who gets killed by the white hero. I'm so tired, James. I've been fighting for 10 years to be seen as a person, not a caricature. Sometimes I wonder if I should give up. Go back to teaching. Stop trying to change an industry that doesn't want to change. Bruce." Coburn wrote back, "Dear Bruce, don't you dare give up. I've been in this industry 20 years. I've never seen anyone with your talent, your charisma, your vision. Hollywood is slow, racist, stupid, but it's also desperate for new ideas. You're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for every Asian kid who needs to see a hero who looks like them. Keep going. James." The letters became more personal, more vulnerable. Bruce wrote about his marriage struggles, about how Linda worried he was working too hard, about how he felt torn between being a good father and chasing his dreams. Coburn wrote about his divorce, about feeling like a failure as a husband, about the loneliness of fame. They wrote about philosophy. Bruce would send pages explaining Taoism, Buddhism, his own emerging Jeet Kune philosophy. Coburn would respond with his interpretations, his questions, his own life applications. In letter 47, March 1971, Bruce wrote something that would become prophetic. Dear James, I've been thinking about mortality lately. Maybe it's because I turned 30. Maybe it's because I'm pushing my body so hard. But I have this strange feeling that I'm running out of time. Like there's so much I need to do, and the clock is ticking faster than everyone else's. Do you ever feel that? Like you're racing against something invisible? Bruce. Coburn's response, letter 48. Dear Bruce, I'm 42. I think about death every day. My hands are getting worse. My body is breaking down. But here's what I've learned. We're all running out of time. The question isn't how much time we have, it's what we do with it. Are we living, or are we just existing? You, my friend, are living, intensely, fully. Even if you only get 40 years, you'll have lived more than most people do in 80. James. By 1972, the letters had evolved beyond philosophy. They were confessions, therapy sessions, soul-searching on paper. Bruce wrote about his fears of failure, about nightmares where he dies unknown and forgotten, about the pressure of being seen as a representative of all Asian people. Coburn wrote about his battles with alcoholism, about using drinking to numb the arthritis pain, about hating himself for the weakness, and through it all they helped each other. Bruce's philosophy helped Coburn manage his pain without alcohol. Coburn's Hollywood experience helped Bruce navigate the racism of the industry. They saw each other in person maybe once a month, but the letters were where the real friendship lived. But in 1973, everything changed. January 1973, Bruce Lee's life was exploding. Enter the Dragon was in production. He was finally the star, finally the hero. After 10 years of fighting, Hollywood was listening. But the letters to Coburn became darker. Letter 167, February 1973. Dear James, I should be happy. I'm finally getting everything I fought for. But I'm terrified. What if Enter the Dragon fails? What if I'm not good enough? What if this is my only shot and I blow it? I'm working 18-hour days, not sleeping. The headaches are getting worse, but I can't stop. If I stop, someone else takes my place. Bruce. Coburn's response was urgent. Dear Bruce, stop. Please stop. I'm begging you as your friend. Slow down. Enter the Dragon will be great because of you, not in spite of you. But you won't see its success if you kill yourself making it. Remember what you taught me. Be like water. You're not being water right now. You're being ice, rigid, frozen, brittle, and ice breaks, Bruce. Please, slow down. James. But Bruce didn't slow down. The letters kept coming, faster, more frantic. Letter 178, April 1973. Dear James, you're right. I know you're right, but I can't slow down. I physically cannot. There's this voice in my head that says if you rest, you lose everything. Linda is worried. The kids barely see me. Yesterday I had a blackout during filming. The doctor said it was exhaustion. But James, I'm scared. I'm scared something's wrong with me and I'm too stubborn to admit it. Bruce. Then came May 10th, 19. Bruce collapsed on set. Cerebral edema. The doctors told him to rest for months. Letter 184, May 15, 1973. Dear James, I collapsed. Full collapse. They found swelling in my brain. The doctors say I've been pushing too hard for too long. Linda is furious with me. She says I'm choosing fame over family. And she's right. I am. Because I'm terrified that if I don't push now, I'll never get another chance. I'm scared, James. Really scared. Not of dying, but of dying before I finish what I started. Bruce. Coburn called Bruce immediately after receiving this letter. They talked for 2 hours. Coburn begged Bruce to take 6 months off, to heal, to choose life over ambition. Bruce promised he would. After Enter the Dragon wrapped, he'd take a real break. He promised. But the letters kept coming, and they kept getting more intense. Then came the final 2 weeks. July 1973. Enter the Dragon had wrapped. Bruce should have been resting. Instead, he was planning his next 5 movies, meeting with producers, writing scripts, working 16-hour days. Letter 195, July 5, 1973. Dear James, I know I promised to rest, but opportunities are flooding in. Every studio in Hollywood wants to meet with me now. After 10 years of being ignored, they're finally paying attention. How can I rest now? This is what I fought for. This is my moment. I'll rest after I secure these deals, I promise. Just a few more weeks. Bruce. Letter 196, July 10, 1973. Dear James, the headaches are back, worse than before. Linda wants me to see a doctor. I told her I'm fine, but I'm not fine, James. I'm exhausted. Bone deep exhausted. But I can't show weakness. Not now. Not when I'm so close to everything I've dreamed of. Do you think I'm crazy? Am I destroying myself for nothing? Bruce. Coburn wrote back immediately. Dear Bruce, yes, you're destroying yourself. And no, it's not for nothing. But it will be meaningless if you die before you can enjoy it. Please, I'm begging you, go to the doctor. Take a real break. The opportunities will still be there in 3 months. But you won't be if you keep going like this. I love you, brother.
Choose yourself. James. Letter 197. July 14, 1973. Dear James, you're right. I'll go to the doctor next week. I promise. After this one last meeting. After I finalize the Game of Death script. After I keep saying after. But there's always another after. When does it end? When do I get to rest? I'm so tired, James. Bruce. Letter 198. July 16, 1973. Dear James, I had a strange dream last night. I was swimming in the ocean, going deeper and deeper. The water was so peaceful, so quiet, and I thought I could just stay here, just let go. Then I woke up and panicked. What kind of person dreams about drowning and finds it peaceful? What's wrong with me? Bruce. Coburn called Bruce again. They talked about the dream. Coburn was terrified. He recognized it as Bruce's subconscious telling him something. Bruce, your mind is trying to tell you to stop. Please listen to it. I will, James. I will. After this week, I promise. Letter 199. July 17, 1973. Can't sleep, thinking about everything we've written to each other over these 3 years. 1990 letters. All these words. All these fears and dreams and confessions. Thank you, James. Thank you for seeing me. The real me. Not Bruce Lee the legend. Just Bruce, the scared kid, who doesn't know if he's enough. You've been more than a friend. You've been a brother. I don't say that lightly. Bruce. Then came letter 200. July 18, 1973. 2 days before Bruce Lee died. July 18, 1973. 11 p.m. Hong Kong. Bruce Lee sat at his desk. He was exhausted. His head was pounding. But he picked up his pen and wrote one more letter to James Coburn. This is what he wrote. Dear James, this is letter 200. I didn't plan that. I just realized it as I started writing. 200 conversations with you. 200 times you've listened to me spill my fears onto paper. I need to tell you something, and I don't know why I'm writing this now. Maybe it's the headache. Maybe it's the exhaustion. Maybe it's just instinct. James, if something happens to me, and I'm not saying it will, but if it does, I need you to know that these letters saved my life, not literally, but spiritually. You gave me a place to be honest when the whole world wanted me to be invincible. You let me be weak when everyone else needed me to be strong. I'm scared tonight, James. Really scared. Not the usual fear about career or success. Something deeper. I feel like I'm standing at the edge of something and I don't know what's on the other side. Linda is sleeping in the next room. Brandon and Shannon are asleep down the hall. They're so beautiful, James. I love them so much, but I've been a terrible father lately. Always working, always chasing, always running towards something I can never quite catch. You asked me once, when does it end? When do I get to rest? I think I know the answer now. It ends when I choose to end it. When I finally have the courage to say enough. To be satisfied with what I've built, instead of always chasing what's next. But I don't know if I have that courage, James. I don't know if I can stop running. Here's what I want you to know. If I die tomorrow, which I won't, but hypothetically, I will have died doing what I loved, fighting for what I believed in, trying to open doors for people who look like me. That matters, doesn't it? Even if I ran myself into the ground doing it. I'm rambling. It's late. My head hurts. But I needed to write to you one more time, to tell you that your friendship has meant everything, that these 200 letters will be the thing I'm most proud of when I'm old. Not the movies, not the fame, these honest conversations with you. Take care of yourself, brother. Listen to your body. Don't make my mistakes. And if something does happen to me, keep these letters. Maybe someday they'll mean something to someone. Maybe they'll show that Bruce Lee the legend was also Bruce the human. Scared, tired, trying his best. I love you, James. Bruce. P.S. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow, I promise. Really this time. Bruce sealed the letter, addressed it, put it in the mail. 2 days later, July 20, 1973, Bruce Lee collapsed. By evening he was dead. He was 32 years old. The letter arrived at James Coburn's house on July 23rd, 3 days after Bruce died. James opened it and wept. For 29 years, Coburn kept the letters secret. James Coburn never told anyone about the 200 letters. They were too personal, too sacred, too painful. He read letter 200 hundreds of times. Every time, he saw things he'd missed. The exhaustion, the resignation, the sense that Bruce knew something was coming. If something happens to me, Bruce had written, as if he knew, as if some part of him sensed his time was ending. Coburn tried to honor Bruce's memory by living differently. He took breaks. He listened to his body. He practiced Bruce's philosophy of being like water. In 1998, Coburn's arthritis mysteriously went into remission. Doctors called it a miracle. Coburn called it Bruce's final gift, the techniques Bruce taught him finally healing his body completely. In 2002, James Coburn died of a heart attack at age 74. He'd lived 42 years longer than Bruce, and he never stopped missing his friend. After Coburn's funeral, his widow Paula was going through his study when she found the wooden box. Inside, all 200 letters from Bruce, carefully preserved, organized by date. And on top of the box, a note from James in his handwriting. Paula, if you're reading this, I'm gone. These letters are from Bruce Lee. They're the most important things I own. Please read them, then decide what to do with them. Bruce said maybe someday they'll mean something to someone. I think he was right. James, Paula read all 200 letters over the course of 2 weeks. She cried through most of them. Seeing Bruce Lee, the legend, as a scared, tired, vulnerable human being was overwhelming. When she reached letter 200, she understood why James had kept them secret for so long. They were too intimate, too raw, too prophetic. If something happens to me, Bruce had known, in some deep, unconscious way, he'd known that letter might be his last. Paula contacted Shannon Lee, Bruce's daughter. I have something your father wrote. I think you should see it. In 2009, the world finally learned the truth.
2009. Shannon Lee sat in Paula Coburn's living room, reading her father's letters for the first time. She was 40 years old. Her father had died when she was 4. She'd grown up with stories about Bruce Lee the legend, but these letters showed her Bruce Lee the man, the father who was scared he wasn't good enough, the husband who felt guilty for choosing career over family, the dreamer who pushed himself to death chasing validation. When she read letter 200, Shannon wept. Her father had written, "Brandon and Shannon are so beautiful, I love them so much, but I've been a terrible father lately." He wasn't terrible, Shannon said through tears. He was human. He was just human. Shannon and Paula made a decision. Publish the letters. Not all of them, some were too personal, but enough to show the world who Bruce Lee really was. In 2009, Letters to James, the private correspondence of Bruce Lee, was published. It contained 50 of the 200 letters, including 200. The response was overwhelming. Fans around the world saw Bruce Lee differently, not as an invincible legend, but as a man who struggled with the same fears everyone faces. Reading Bruce Lee write "If something happens to me" 2 days before he died is like watching a tragedy in slow motion. He knew, some part of him knew. New York Times, these letters prove that Bruce Lee's greatest fight wasn't against opponents in a ring. It was against his own perfectionism, his own fear of being not enough, a fight he tragically lost. Los Angeles Times, letter 200 should be required reading for anyone chasing success. Bruce Lee had everything and nothing. Fame without rest. Achievement without peace. It's the most haunting thing I've ever read. Time magazine. James Coburn's response letters weren't published. He'd kept those private. But Bruce's letters were enough to show the depth of their friendship. Today, letter 200 is displayed at the Bruce Lee Museum in Hong Kong, encased in glass. Thousands of people visit it every year. They stand in front of Bruce's handwritten words and see themselves. The scared artist wondering if they're good enough. The ambitious worker who can't stop pushing. The perfectionist who doesn't know how to rest. The exhibit includes a video message recorded by Paula Coburn before she died in 2015. James kept these letters for 29 years. He read letter 200 at least once a week. And every time he'd say the same thing. Bruce died because he couldn't stop running. I won't make the same mistake. And he didn't. James lived to 74. He had a full life. He learned the lesson Bruce couldn't learn himself. That rest isn't weakness. That enough is enough. That you can't pour from an empty cup. Shannon Lee includes the letters in her talks about her father's legacy. My father wrote 200 letters to James Coburn. And in those letters he was more honest than he ever was in public. He admitted fear, doubt, exhaustion, things that legends aren't supposed to feel. But here's what I learned from reading them. Vulnerability isn't weakness. My father's willingness to confess his struggles to James, that's strength. The real tragedy is that he couldn't give himself the same compassion he gave others. The Bruce Lee Foundation now has a program called Letter 200 that encourages people to write letters to themselves when they're feeling overwhelmed, to document their struggles, to be honest about their limits. Because Bruce Lee's final letter to James Coburn teaches us something crucial. Running yourself into the ground doesn't make you a legend, it makes you a cautionary tale. The work will always be there, the opportunities will keep coming, but you're irreplaceable, and if you burn out chasing success, you won't be around to enjoy it. Bruce Lee wrote, "If something happens to me, I will have died doing what I loved." But James Coburn's response, written after Bruce's death and never sent, said it best, "You died doing what you loved." But Bruce, you could have lived doing what you loved. That was always an option. You just never chose it, and that breaks my heart. 200 letters, 3 years, one friendship that nobody knew existed. Bruce Lee died at 32, 2 days after writing letter 200. James Coburn died at 74, having learned the lesson Bruce couldn't. Letter 200 ends with, "Take care of yourself, brother. Don't make my mistakes." James listened. He took care of himself. He rested. He lived. Bruce didn't. And the world lost a legend far too soon. If this story moved you, write your own letter 200, to yourself, to someone you trust. Be honest about your struggles,
your fears, your exhaustion, because vulnerability isn't weakness, it's survival. Subscribe for more untold stories about legends. Drop a comment. Who would you write 200 letters to? Be like water, my friend. But remember, even water needs to rest.